Welcome to the sign you're just seeing is for Larry Borth and his new website. And we'd like to introduce ourselves. I'm Helen Borth, his mother, and this is Larry. And we would like to have you better understand that word aura, what it's all about. And if you check our last look at this whole subject, it was on healthy auras. Today we'd like to talk about weight loss for auras. Now I know that sounds a little funny, because how does your energy aura lose weight, gain weight? But truthfully, it happens. So we'd like to inform you, give you some information about weight loss on auras. First of all, let's talk about on the size of an aura and how the size determines a heaviness or a lightness. So, and a normal aura, let's start there.
A normal aura for anybody out on the street may be as far out as the arms can reach. Maybe 3-4 feet around in all directions. Kind of like being in a large sausage, let's call it. Sometimes a lot of the books say egg shape. The egg shape I don't really see much anymore, but that's about the size of a normal aura.
And don't forget under the feet.
Under the feet.
Because
It's also,
that people can't seem to understand, that it can go through the floor.
yeah, energy
Or
knows nothing
grass.
about walls or cement, or it goes right through that stuff with very little effort. Now, when I see somebody with an aura that's very weighty, which heavy, their aura shrinks. It's sometimes maybe only 12 inches, 18 inches around the body, tops, or even sometimes less. Now, when that happens, that person's energy gets condensed. You know, I think we have the same amount of energy if the energy is out arm's length or beyond, or if it's 18 inches. But what happens, it condenses. Now, it may not have a weight that can be measured, but what it does is makes the body and the person feel sluggish, heavy, lethargic, in more ways than just weight. They feel slow because their energy, instead of free floating and moving out here like a nice little cloud, it's condensed and it's sitting here more like a heavy thundercloud, real thick, not moving, with energy moving back and forth from section to section, almost like electricity or lightning. And the more that happens, the heavier that person seems to be, the more disconnected with the world at large, their family, their friends, and sometimes there's even anger or being very upset when the energy condenses and shrinks.
And it can do that really easily.
Yeah.
I mean, just something shows up in your life and all of a sudden you'd feel a little less heavy, you're a little happier about something.
Yeah, because our thoughts control our energy field, and it's not the opposite way around. Our energy field controls us. We control it. So, I mean, if you have a little fender bender and you already are blaming that person for not paying attention and they're are stupid or whatever words you, automatically your energy condenses and shrinks and you feel more of that what's going on. Now, if you have a little fender bender and you go, oh, well, you know,
That's life.
that's life, things happen, your energy stays out and it free flows. Now, when I draw somebody's energy, sometimes I do heavy red colors. That the heavier the colors, the thicker or the more heavier the the field becomes. When I use lighter pastels, the energy is more open and light. And I think I've said in the past about when somebody's energy looks like a rainstorm clouds, with the thick darkness, and then after the rain is gone and the sunlight starts to open up in between those clouds and those rays of light come in, there's more of an awareness of being open and a sense of being free or being lighter, because the more space that's between all these little lack of a better term, gaseous clouds in somebody's field that are moving, and when there's space in there, the more they vibrate, the more they sing, the more alive the person becomes.
Okay, and that kind of shift doesn't happen quickly.
No, it doesn't.
But sometimes, I just had that little shot there to remind you of the fella that came in pretty heavy, small aura, and we were doing a lot of drawings that day. And he had a whole bunch of questions, and I was sitting there, and I answered all his questions. And you came out from doing a person's aura and looked at him again, and it was completely different. It was so different that you had to make two drawings. What he looked like when he walked in for his appointment, and then what he looked like when he finally got in to see you. And we haven't experienced that quick a shift. Hardly ever. Come to think of it, hardly ever. But that was really neat to see that.
The more a person can let go of their heavier constricting thoughts, in that person's case, it was in a matter of 45 minutes. Why?
30 minutes.
30 minutes,
actually.
yeah. Why somebody else was in getting their
hour,
aura drawn before him, and other people hang on to their old ways, their old beliefs, and aren't willing to let them go. That the energy field takes years and years. Sometimes we've had people in class for 30 years, and because they're so engrossed and in their way of perceiving life and it's mostly their place in it, they don't have that big aha moment, the shedding of the old energy.
What about when somebody comes in and says, "Oh, I have so much energy," like right now they're just hyper, and they got so much energy.
A lot of times
doesn't mean they have more energy.
No, it may be just in the physical body because they've seen something or that's got them all revved up and all excited. That's more of a physical manifestation rather than a spiritual energy manifestation. That energy has a different sense to it. When it starts to open up and then unfold, there is, I have this word aliveness, of being really alive, and that you don't have to use your team winning the championship to make you feel alive, or winning that game of poker or whatever, something you've done to make you feel alive. You feel alive just because you are alive, for no other reason.
And wouldn't that be some like static energy?
Yeah,
in there.
Yes.
When they say I have so much energy, it's like erratic and static.
It's staticky. It's charged, but it's not charged down to its core. It's like I want to say icing on a cake, but it's more of a nasty icing on a cake. Because it's short-lived, it doesn't last. The other kind of unfoldment, when the energy field is alive because it's opening up and unfolding, that stays for a longer period of time and reaches down to the very core of that person and makes them feel alive from the very essence all the way out, and not just until the next time their team loses.
And the great part of all this is all that can be changed and easily for some people if they know what to do. Mm-hmm. So then the other, besides the size now of shrinking in that's heavy, so we're looking for weight loss.
Right.
The next thing would be the coloring.
Okay.
There's one set of colors for the heavy look And then as that heaviness lets go and it gets bigger and
Right.
back to normal size, that's a
Right.
different coloring.
Yeah. Let's even first start back up a little bit. There are so many aura energy books out there that talk about colors, and they have a specific definition for red and green and blue. That doesn't work for me, and for most people that work with us that see energy, they have to interpret that color, that shape, that frequency in that moment for that person. Because if you bring a definition from an old book, I'm not going to mention names, to that present moment, you're bringing dead energy to that present moment, and it's only going to be maybe 50%, 40% correct. And who wants to only be 50% correct? I want to be more than that. So I have to interpret it for that person in that moment. But the only definitions I carry are that the lighter pastel colors that I can kind of see through are better than the heavier, darker ones that you can't see through. And the heavier the colors, the more inundated with just human ideas they have.
That reminds me of way back when you were a kid and you're just starting, in all of this, and this sage master kind of person told me, don't let him read any books on auras. Don't let him read. So I never did. And so he just comes into his own way, which is in the moment, so that people always say he was right on. He was right on. You never get that you missed. Never. It hasn't happened. So that then he could read the books once he had his own way of doing what was right for him, and then see what other people were saying, so that he didn't take from other people's ideas that this color means this and this and this, because it doesn't. It means how it fits with the rest of the picture.
Yeah.
So that coloring, and then when it changes, and the heavy colors come out of the picture, that would also mean that the size is getting bigger, because the heaviness is allowing the size to change. So we have some energy weight loss happening right at that time. So the size makes a difference, the coloring in the aura makes a difference. And then we'll talk about the patterns that show up.
Yeah. There are all sorts of patterns. Sometimes it looks like twisted rope, again being rather tight. Other times nice floaty clouds. Other times like I talked about, those rays of sunlight coming through clouds, definite straight lines. There are sometimes I don't feel straight lines are very good, but in this case, when they're kind of somewhat have a haze to them, they're there, but they're not real specific. They're more beneficial. I feel more of an awakening happening. Those shapes are good. A lot of times geometric shapes. Sometimes I got pictures with definite, almost like peacock feathers looking shapes in there that are real, the old paisley shapes. Those are not so good because they are definite, specific patterns that really indicate a trend of thought that's maybe self-sabotaging or keeping them locked into one frame of thinking.
And so many circles.
Yes.
That's the main thing.
Yeah, circles, especially when they hook back around something or back towards the person, that they have they have their hooks into something and aren't willing to let it go. Now, I have just had a thought, in the past, and this may be a question for you, that when people come in, there's an apprehension of getting their aura drawn.
Yeah.
It's I want it, but I don't want it. What do you think that's all about?
Well, people are very self-conscious. Okay. And to think that somebody can look at your field, which is being broadcast all the time. It's so easy for an aura person to just look at you like you just took a book and opened it up, and there's the picture of you. Picture of you. And then he just reads it for you. And to him, it doesn't make any difference what the picture looks like. But he can just mirror it back to you to help you understand yourself. Because yourself is broadcasting. And most of the time people say, oh, I kind of thought there was something like that, but I didn't understand it. Or this is new to me, or whatever.
Yeah, and I've seen people in the past that, after I've drawn their picture, and they say, "Oh, I thought I was much further along than this,"
And further along means on a spiritual journey.
And it is for just this moment. And most times, even if the person comes in the next day, I can't remember what I drew or what I said, because as fast as I say it, I dismiss it because it's only a temporary thing anyway. So I don't want to look at somebody, even if I meet them the next day again, and bring yesterday to today.
Yesterday's picture.
Yeah, it's yesterday's news, and it means nothing. So let's start from what is this moment and work forward. And tomorrow we'll start again from what is that moment and work forward.
Well, that's coming from that total impersonal place, that the client never has to be concerned that you're going to even remember it, or ask a question the next day and you can't answer it the next day. They have to ask it right away. But that's the difference between an impersonal perception versus personal. So they needn't be concerned.
No.
Because you're going to forget it. And it's actually good if they don't take their picture and look at it every day.
Yeah.
Because there will be size issues and coloring issues and pattern issues that show up. And we'll just mirror it back and give help where we can to start changing it.
Yeah. I just, for me, whenever I can help somebody, just move from where they are today into something a little freer tomorrow. And I don't, for people just that are on this quest, and we hate to use the word spiritual path, but that's what most people recognize, just so kind of get a checkup, periodically, where they are, how they're doing, are they, just so they have a sense of maybe something they can work on and maybe let go today to make tomorrow a little freer.
Well, people are happy when they can they have to make their own changes. We can't make them for them. So that in 6 months they have another picture and look at the two. Oh man, I've made some changes. This is really worthwhile.
This hunk over here is still there.
Yeah. Or I did this hunk. Now I'm ready for what can I do about this particular pattern. So to encourage people to be comfortable and be willing to just have an aura reader look and help you. It's all there for help. There's no other reason. And to do your spiritual path and your journey to help. So we would suggest your website.
Yeah, or insights.com. Or the Institute of Self-Awareness website of iselfawareness.org.
.org for ISA. But for you, it's aurainsights.com. Check that, and we'll look forward to seeing you.